Hey guys, it's Mr. Oda. This is going to be the first video in our series on Unit 3, which is populations. Now, this unit is going to be talking about populations of both humans and other organisms in the environment. As you're going through these videos, what you're going to want to do is take notes down on your own. As the video plays along, you are going to be asked a series of questions just to assess if you're really understanding what we're going through. Now, for the first part of our unit, we're going to be working with this essential question, which is, what are the life strategy characteristics of specialist, generalist, R-selected, and K-selected species? And how do these influence their survivorship in various ecological settings? That is a mouthful, but we're going to be working with each of these terms by themselves to get a grasp of them. And what we're going to be starting with is topic 3.1, generalist and specialist species. The learning objective for this topic is that we're going to be able to identify the differences between those two. And the essential piece of knowledge that you need to come away with is that specialist species have the advantage when their habitat is constant, while generalist species have the advantage when the environment is changing. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, changing habitats. In our last unit, we talked a little bit about how the environment changes from things like natural disturbances, such as earthquakes, hurricanes, flooding, things like that, but also from human impact on the environment, which we call anthropogenic. Now, when the environment changes, organisms need to be able to adapt and adapt quickly. Otherwise, they are in danger of potentially dying, and in the worst case scenario, their species can go extinct. A question for you guys. Why do you think some species are able to adapt quicker to a changing environment? Let you guys get your thoughts out there. Let's look at a couple of examples. And the first is this little fluffy guy, who you guys have probably seen before, a raccoon. Now, raccoons live in a variety of environments, okay? They can be in mountains, forests, even cities, which is where you've probably seen them before. They live all over North America, and they're also omnivores, which means they can eat both plants and animals. These guys are also special because they even go through your trash. So they are able to eat pretty much anything. Another example of an organism is the mule deer. The mule deer is found in multiple habitats, forests, plains, and alpine habitats as well, which are closer towards the mountains. They're found in most of Western North America, and even though they eat primarily grass, they're also able to eat woody plants and flowers, things like that. Now, this one is a little bit different. You guys have probably not seen this in real life, but it is a giant panda. The giant panda is only found in southwestern China. They live in mountain forests, which means higher up there, which for this case, it's about 4,000 to 11,000 feet in the air. And their diet consists entirely of bamboo. They eat the stalks, the leaves, everything about it. And because bamboo is not that nutritious, they actually have to eat anywhere from 35 to 80 pounds of it every single day. Now, when you look at these three examples, I want you guys to think. Which species would most likely survive if their habitat was changed or destroyed? Which one would most likely not survive? Make sure you guys explain your answer with evidence and reasoning. Now, hopefully you guys came to the conclusion that the raccoon and the deer would most likely be able to move to a different habitat. However, the giant panda, since it only lives in a specific type of forest and eats a specific type of food, it would not survive too well if that was destroyed. And this is because the panda is an example of a specialist. Now, a specialist is a type of animal or organism, could be a plant as well, that has a very narrow niche. It can't adapt to many different types of environments. They use a very specific set of resources, and they're going to be affected heavily if the environment changes. But they do have the advantage when conditions are more constant. The panda bears are the best at eating bamboo. Another example is the koala bear. The koala bear eats mostly eucalyptus leaves, which are actually toxic for other animals. On the other side of the spectrum, we have things called generalists, and generalists have a very broad niche. They're able to adapt to many different environments. They won't be as likely to go extinct because they can use many different types of resources. They have a higher range of tolerance, and they will be able to survive if the environment changes very quickly. Now, that was a lot to get through. Let's see if you guys got that. Look at these two plants. We have the Venus flytrap and the red maple tree. The question is, are these plants specialists or generalists? Hopefully after reading this, you guys understood that the Venus flytrap, because it lives in a very specific type of soil, is a specialist, and the red maple tree can live in multiple areas, so it is a generalist. Another question for you guys. After what we talked about with those two types of organisms, which of these lines do you think represents a specialist and a generalist? After looking at this, I hope you guys got that the red line is much more broad, while the black line is much more narrow. So the wider line represents a generalist, because generalists can use a wider variety of resources, whereas the narrow one represents a specialist. They can only eat a certain type of food or use certain types of resources, so they're more limited in their niche or their ecological role. Now, this is the first video you guys are getting through. That was a lot of information to get through. So we're going to end off with one final question to kind of close it up. Is it better to be a generalist or a specialist? Write down your opinions in the space for your answer, but make sure you explain using evidence that you gained from this video and your own reasoning. I hope you guys got a lot from this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.